make a start then, shall we? Okay, so now I said to you the other day I want you to go away and I want you to look through your craft stash and I want you to use something that you've not used before. Well, that's what I'm doing today, because I've not used this before. This is the first time I've used it. I bought it and I thought that's going to be brilliant, and then something else came out and then samples needed making, and oh, you know, they just got put in the rest of the stash and I've not used it, so I'm using this today because it's a birthday card. Wonder why? Okay, so I'm also using the layering stencils, the layering abstract squares stencils. Now, I'm only using a couple of layers and I'm only really using them as a little bit of interest in the background. So it's not sort of in your face that I've used them, but you'll tell where they are, okay? I'm also using the Let's Celebrate GNOMES set. I'm also using the nested, scalloped and plain circles, and I've always said that I think they are an absolute must as a basic in your craft stash, definitely. They are dies that you'll just use and use and use. There's a lot of nested ones that Lisa does, and they're all equally as brilliant. And then I've also used the FINELINER pens and the Sprinkler Twinkle pens. So that's all the stuff that I've used. Okay, so onto my card. 7x7 card, and you can see that I've used the largest scalloped circle and the next one down, and this is where I've used the layering abstract squares stencil, and all I've done is just use the ink that was left on my brush just to brush through the two stencils, just to give it a little bit of interest in the background, and I've just used colours that just go with the theme of the card. The first thing I did was stamped and die cut my little chef gnome, because obviously she's decorating a birthday cake. How could I not use her? She's gorgeous. I love this one. This is probably one of my most favourite out of all the sets. I love this one. So I've just coloured it in coloured pencils just to fit my theme, really, which obviously is purple. So I'm just going to stick that down, and I'm using 3D glue because I want this to have just lots of lovely dimension. So I'm just putting a little bit of 3D glue down on here, and then just add this to my backing card. Now I'm going to put it near the bottom because I want a sentiment to sit at the top. Okay, so there's my little chefette sitting on my card. Now I've used, as I said, the candles, and actually I have used 4 candles. So I've put some, I've die cut some of the candles, and I've already put some of them together, but I've left one to do, basically just to show you how easy it is to put them together. So I've die cut my candles in, funnily enough, purple, and then I've used the other dies to cut my toppers. Okay, so I'm just going to glue this down on here, and again I'm just using my little mini bottle because it's got a really thin nozzle, which comes in useful for doing down the side of these shapes that have been die cut out. It's Lisa's glue that I'm using. I've just decanted some into my little bottle. So then I'm just going to pop this on here like so. So easy. It's not the only way you can use these candles, there are other ways, but this was just the way I wanted to use them today. Now obviously you don't get purple flames with candles, do you? Unless you're burning a very sort of strange candle. So then you get the little die that cuts out the flames. Now this little die, if I show you, cuts them all out in one go, which I think is absolutely brilliant. So that's this one here. Okay, so you can see it's a little die here, and it's all in one piece, so you can cut them all out all in one go. And what I've done is just run it through 2 or 3 times with a piece of yellow card and a piece of orange card. You could use a piece of orange and a piece of red depending on how you want your flames to look. So you know, it's just a super little die. Let me let me just show you the die. So this is the die that cuts out your flames, and then these little dies here cut out your little tops. So you've got hearts, stars, stripes, and sort of little, what are they, sort of hexagon shapes sort of thing. So yeah, and then you've got other dies as well, and then you get word dies, and then sort of like dies to cut out your stamped words. So these words here, you stamp them all down, and then you've got the dies to cut those out. Okay, and I decided to have a little stamping and die cutting session yesterday, so I've got several already cut that I'll just keep in my box. Okay, so now you've cut your flames out, you can just add them to your card, to your candle, and you won't need much glue, you really won't. And you just pop your flame on the top of what you've already cut out. I mean, if you wanted to cut them out in white, you could do, but I just wanted the purple to shine through. And then this tiny little bit, there is an indentation on here. You probably won't be able to see it on the camera, but there is a little indentation there which sort of shows you where this little frame, inner flame, goes, which is dead useful. So you just pop that on there like that, and I just think that is the cutest little thing. How genius is that? And they're so effective, they just look really, really good, don't you think? So my candles are going on here at sort of different heights, but I want them the size. So I've done 2 of each. I've done 2 stars and 2 hearts, and then I'm just going to place them down so that they sit level with each other to give it a bit of balance. Okay, so let's add these down. It's such a quick card to put together. I mean, that, to be honest, the most time I've spent was colouring the image. It didn't take me long to sort of die cut everything and do the little bit of stenciling in the background. Okay, so let's try and get that about level with the other one, which is about right, and then this one can go on the other side. So just sort of give it a little bit of balance. I'm not always a symmetrical person. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. It depends on the card, depends what I'm using. So sometimes I like it to be off centre, and sometimes I like it to be symmetrical like it is today. Okay, now you'll notice that I 3D'd the circles, and I glued these down yesterday because I wanted to be able to add my things onto the circles and my 3D glue gel not move. So that's why I'd already put the circles down. Okay, so I've got the main parts of my card. So then it was about deciding what else to put on it. So on this little set here, the gnome set, are these little cupcakes. And because she's making a birthday cake, I thought, well, she's probably already made the cupcakes to go with it because it looks nice, doesn't it? So I made some cupcakes. And guess what colour they are? The purple. Now you can see here that I've used the sparkle pens on the cases. Now I don't know whether you can pick up the sparkle. Yeah, you can slightly. You can pick up the sparkle on that. But I just thought they looked like those foil cupcake cases. So I thought that was really nice. And then I used the same sparkle pen on the little bits of vermicelli on the cakes, just to make it look a little bit different, really. So I'm going to pop these here, sort of in each corner, okay? And then I'm going to put something only sort of small up at the top to balance it out a little bit. It won't balance it properly, but it will just give it a little bit of balance to the eye when you look at the card when it's finished. Okay, so the back ones are going to go flat, and then these two at the front will be raised up a little bit, just to give it that little bit of dimension and looking a little bit different. Could have probably used my proper bottle of glue on these, but I've got the little one out, so we'll carry on and use that. So that's the one at the back. And don't forget that with this set, you get all the dies to cut out everything you've stamped. So all the little bottles, all the little cakes, the slice of cake, there's sort of this sort of thing. It's like streamers and things. There's a die to cut that out. The music notes. There is a die for everything. It's a brilliant, brilliant set, and each set of the gnomes are the same. So there is a die for every stamp. So I'll just pop these down here, and again, like I say, I'm giving them a little bit of dimension, just to make the card look a little bit interesting. Okay, so I'm going to come down here with the second one, press that down a little bit, and then come down with the third one, like so. So you've got the back one that's flat, and then the other two that are raised up a little bit, just to make it look a bit 3D, I suppose, which is what you'd use 3D glue gel for, isn't it? Okay, so I've got those three, and I've got those three. So then I decided what sentiment I needed. So I'm going to put my happy birthday up at the top here. That's why I wanted to leave a little bit of a gap at the top. And then, where's my other one? I'm going to put this one, let's eat cake, down the bottom. And again, I am going to 3D it, just to sit it up a little bit, because I think with everything else being raised up, if I put this flat, it's just going to look odd. So if I put it in the middle there, and then I can leave that there like that, and that will sit nicely. When my glue is dry, that will sit really nicely. So then this one I'm going to put flat, because obviously everything else is already raised up, so I don't want to go too mad. And I'm only putting glue on the bottom of the sentiment because it's going to overhang the card slightly, the circle rather. So I'm going to put that up at the top like that. So it sits there nicely, but it overhangs the card. Now obviously I've got a little bit of space up here. Now I was going to use this little sort of streamer stamp, but I thought that might be a little bit too much. So what I decided to do was what I'm sort of not known for, but I like to do, and that's just add some gems on. So I'm going to use my pokey tool. No, I'm not. I'm going to use my pickup tool. Why would you use a pokey tool? So I'm just going to add my gems, and these were Lisa's AB gems that she had sort of some time ago. So I've used these are the last of my purple gems. I haven't got any more purple gems at all, and I know that Lisa has said that gems are a ridiculous price at the moment, so I'm not holding my breath for any more, sadly. Not at the moment anyway, not until things settle down a little bit. So I'll just add my gems up at the top, and I think that just sort of finishes it off a little bit, just to give it a little bit of balance. You know, I think it's nice to have balance, but you don't have to have it. You don't have to have the balance exactly the same. There you go. There's my happy birthday, let's eat cake card, and there are, you know, 2 or 3 sets there that I've used. So every time you look at one set, think about what might go with it. You know, it's a good way to challenge yourself to just choose 3 sets of, I don't know, a set of dies, a set of stamps, and a set of stencils. All totally different, but put them all together and see what you come up with, because it's just a way of challenging yourself to do something a bit different. Okay, so that's my card for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for all the birthday wishes here and in the group. I'm quite overwhelmed if I'm honest, but thank you very much. And I will love you and leave you there. Have a fabulous weekend. Take care of each other and yourselves and stay safe. See you soon. Bye now.